Harun Al Rashid was fifth Caliph of the Abbasid Dynasty, who ruled Islam at the zenith of its empire with a luxury in Baghdad memorialized in the 1001 Nights. Harun Al Rashid was the son of Al-Mahdi the third Abbasid Caliph and Al-Khazrin, a former slave girl from Yemen and a woman of strong personality, who greatly influenced affairs of state in the reigns of her husband and sons. The elder Prince Al-Hadi was 4 when Harun was born. The princes were brought up in the court at Baghdad and educated in the Quran, poetry, music, anecdotes about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, early Islamic history, and current legal practice. Harun had as tutor Yahya the Barmakid, a loyal supporter of his mother. In 780 and 782 Harun was nominal leader of expeditions against the Byzantine Empire, though the military decisions were doubtless made by the experienced generals accompanying him. The expedition of 782 reached the Bosporus, opposite Constantinople, and peace was concluded on terms favorable to the Muslims. For this success Harun received the honorific title of Al-Rashid, the one following the right path, and was named second in succession to the throne and appointed governor of Tunisia, Egypt, Syria, Armenia, and Azerbaijan, with his tutor Yahya acting as actual administrator. These moves were presumably engineered by Al-Khazrin and Yahya. The two are even said to have induced Al-Mahdi to make Harun his immediate successor, but Al-Mahdi died in August 785 without officially changing the succession. Al-Hadi became caliph and Harun acquiesced. When Al-Hadi died mysteriously in September 786, rumor suggested that Al-Khazrin was behind the death, because he had resisted her domination. Harun al-Rashid thus became caliph on September 14, 786, succeeding to the rule of an empire reaching from the western Mediterranean to India. He made Yahya the Barmakid his vizier, or chief minister. With Yahya were associated his sons Al-Fadl and Jafar, for the vizier at this period was not only an initiator of policy, but also had attached to himself a corps of administrators to carry out his decisions. Al-Khazrin had a considerable influence over the government until her death in 789. Thereafter until 803 the Barmakids largely controlled the empire, but the caliph was not wholly dependent on them since certain offices of state were held by other men. The reign was one of much internal trouble. At various times there were revolts for local reasons in Egypt, Syria, Yemen, and several eastern provinces, but the central government was strong enough to quell these and restore order. Ifriqiya, after having had a series of incompetent governors, was given in 800 to Ibrahim ibn al-Aghlab, who agreed to make a substantial yearly payment to Baghdad for semi-independent status. This was immediately advantageous to Harun financially, but was the beginning of the loss of power by the caliphs, for the Aghlabid family continued to rule the province for over a century without interference from Baghdad, and similar status was granted to other regional dynasties. Though the revolts fill the pages of the historians, much of the empire was peaceful most of the time. This led to a great development of industry and to an expansion of trade. The resulting prosperity made possible the concentration of vast wealth in the hands of the caliph and leading men and women of the empire. The fabulous descriptions of Harun and his court in the 1001 Nights are idealized and romanticized, yet they had a considerable basis in fact. His wife Zubaydah, herself a member of the Abbasid family, would have at her table only vessels of gold and silver studded with gems. Harun's palace was an enormous institution, with numerous eunuchs, concubines, singing girls, and male and female servants. He himself was a connoisseur of music and poetry and gave lavish gifts to outstanding musicians and poets. Instead of listening to music, Harun might watch cocks and dogs fighting. As caliph he had power of life and death and could order immediate execution. In the stories of his nocturnal wanderings through Baghdad in disguise, he is usually accompanied by Masrur the executioner as well as friends like Ja'far the Barmakid and Abu Nu'ays the brilliant poet. In the autumn of 808, while on his way to deal personally with a serious 2-year-old revolt in Khorasan, Harun fell ill at Tus and died there several months later.